If Shyam Sundar were here, he probably wouldn't like me to say this, but it was really him who inspired this expedition to London. It was in 1968, and we were in an automobile in a parking lot in a supermarket, and he told me that he was thinking of going to London. So, being a very conditioned soul and very envious, I thought, well, I should go too. Don't want to be outdone by my colleague. So I told him I'd been thinking about going to London also. And this was in the summertime. So on very short notice, because Prabhupada had written a letter encouraging it, very encouraging. He said, when I come to London, I will meet the Beatles. That encouraged Shyam Sundar. We made hasty preparations to depart for London. It was so hasty that I remember all of us here, plus Janaka, were sitting in a car ready to go to the airport because we were late for the plane, and Gurudas was upstairs taking us back hadn't even gotten dressed yet. And we couldn't imagine why it was taking so long. So we flew to Iceland on Loflighter Airlines. And we landed in Luxembourg, and we took trains back to England. So, since we don't have a lot of time, I'll just try to summarize that year, since that's what we've been requested to do. It was Prabhupada's letters that were the sustaining factor in keeping us here, and going through tough times. When you grow up in the United States, you're sort of used to having everything when you want it, how you want it. If you need a car or a place to live. Compared to England, it's sort of instant sense gratification. So for most of us, it was a cultural shock, not only to be in London and have to live here, but to be charged with trying to do something significant for Prabhupada and facing the great humiliation if we had to turn back. And that thought crossed all of our minds many times. When the winter came, when the funds were low, when the government was refusing to give us any scope to have a temple, when there was no chance to sing on the streets. Every time we went out in the streets in the beginning, we'd be arrested, and so on and so on and so on. But Prabhupada's letters were like great suns coming into a darkened chasm, and when the letters came, we would all stand around the recipient and hear him or her read the letter out loud. Sometimes he addressed it to all of us. And it was these letters which were frequent, that kept coming for about a year, which kept us going. Prabhupada wanted to come to England so much that he would write us letters that I'm coming, next month. And because Shyam Sundar was so keen to have a temple in the center of London, and it wasn't happening, we kept saying, we're not ready. And we were very encouraged by one letter that Prabhupada sent us. A group from two reporters from the Times came to interview us. And they published a report. It was in a column called Ethicus. And it was quite a favorable piece. So it was picked up in the States under a headline in one newspaper that said, Krishna chant startles London. So Prabhupada clipped this out, and he sent us a letter saying how he'd remembered how some of his godbrothers were, as he said, quote, called back in humiliation, end quote, because they couldn't fulfill the desire for the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They were sannyasis, and yet some of his householders had come to London and made such an impression in the great city that there was a headline, Krishna chant startles London. So that gave us such encouragement that it probably sustained us for a few more months to stick it out. And just like that, things would happen through Prabhupada's energy. I was driving once in our old Ford Poplar pickup truck. It was a 1938 model, if I'm not mistaken. We were driving to Trafalgar Square. I remember thinking that, wow, this is great. We're here, we're doing such wonderful things. This was after something good happened. And I was talking to Shyam Sundar about this, and he said to me, actually we're not doing anything. This is just being done by Prabhupada. We're just his instruments in this great scheme. And I felt silent and very thoughtful for a long time because I realized that I had really been going off track, and it was my godbrother who brought me around to understanding that we weren't actually doing anything. It was all Prabhupada's energy, and I got a very deep realization from